Good afternoon. Welcome to this GlobalShore webinar, GlobalShore2010. This is the last in the series of 5 webinars for this year. Welcome to this webinar. Today's webinar, understanding which are the top 100 outsourcing cities based on the research that we continually do along with during the course of the year. In the previous webinars in the series, we focused on individual regions and clusters, and this is the last webinar in which we are focusing on the entire spread of geographies around the world, and looking at their attractiveness and trying to make sense out of from a city perspective which are some of the attractive cities to go for. Now, when I mention city, I would just like to give you a brief historical background on how we how we decided on this on the perspective of a city versus the country. We have been Global Services has been partnering with Tholons for the last 5 years, since 2006 onwards, on this research, and we identified cities as as a unit of a geographic location to be the most convenient and the most important factor in terms of deciding on your outsourcing location. And and year by year, from 2006 onwards, we have been enhancing and refining the methodology for understanding the dynamics of global outsourcing locations. And for example, in 2007, we came up with this concept of centers of excellence, getting identified amongst the cities. In 2008, there was a much more detailed report on the development of these centers of excellence, and what kind of power and clout do some of these centers of excellence command in the context of the regions that they're present in. 2009, we went further and had much more detail on this and identified the development of city clusters as to how does a city gather strength by developing into areas of adjacencies and create clusters of cities, and how do these clusters develop. So that is a very that's a phenomenon in itself, and we really saw this playing out around the world. And in 2010, we are now, Tholons has come up with this concept of point of scale resistance, which is a new way of looking at the potential and prospects of any outsourcing location using a set of parameters as to how far can how far can a particular location sustain scale in terms of outsourcing. So what we have essentially done is to put it in a nutshell. Over the last 5 years, this body of research has grown into being the most widely recognized, most widely acclaimed research into the subject of global outsourcing locations. And compared to last year, when we used to have the top 50 emerging outsourcing cities, this year the list has been expanded to become the top 100 outsourcing locations. So, surely because of the kind of momentum that is there around the world created by this unique industry, they are in a position to actually, identify 100 cities around the world, that is having some kind of a stake into this industry. So that's great to hear for all of us who are part of this industry. Without much ado, I would like to hand it over to the first speaker today, Avinash Vasishtha. He is the global managing partner for Tholons, and Avinash has been spearheading this research for all these years, combining his great experience in sourcing advisory and globalization. We have another speaker today. Okay, I will actually introduce the speaker when we come to the presentation. So I would like to now call upon Avinash to deliver the results of the Top 100 Outsourcing Destination Study. Avinash.
Well, thank you, Ed. This is Avinash here. Let me also just introduce one more person on the call today. Manuel Rivago. So Manuel Rivago is the person that heads Tholons Research, and thanks for giving me the credit, Ed, for this thing. But I'm just simply a spokesperson and a thought leader in globalization. But Manuel is the brainchild in terms of doing the research for these cities. I think Manuel and his team have evolved the research extremely well over the years. And Tholons has been working with different countries in terms of their globalization strategy. So one of the things about the research over here is it's just not what we as a company think about the research, the data, and the methodology. It's very much what we see on the ground in terms of the supply side in different countries, what we see the clients in terms of where the clients are moving towards. So we hope that this research aligns to what we're seeing in the client market and also some of the movements that we see and some of the capabilities that we see in the supplier market itself. And one of the big trends that we have seen shaping up definitely in the last year and maybe even beyond that has been the focus by respective cities in terms of saying that there is a significant amount of skill and capability that exists in our city, and we would really like to focus on what our city has to offer. So definitely the proposition has to start off with a country. That is definitely necessary. But at the same time, we are seeing a significant focus by cities themselves in trying to bring or demonstrate us the capability that they have, which may be a little bit more focused, maybe different than the country itself. So I think the takeaway that I would like you guys to have, at least from this year's report, is that there's a significant amount of focus on the cities. And whether it's clients or whether it's the supply side, I think we actually see in the coming years a significant amount of focus on the city itself, and just giving numbers, giving capabilities about the country is not going to be enough. Now, with that, I'll go over to page 4, which is about the destination, about various perspectives. Again, you have a certain perspective from the buyer or the client side, then you have the service providers, and then you have the respective government and policy makers. Now, among the 100 cities that we have covered, we have seen majority, at least 2/3 of those cities that we have on that list, have very active government agencies or very active associations that are very actively promoting those cities, not just the country itself. When a buyer is looking towards a country or a city, they definitely are looking for cost advantage. And one of the things that wins on the same cost advantage versus other location is the cultural affinity, how comfortable a client feels to that location itself. We have seen a significant focus, even at a cost, even at a higher cost, for a near-shore, near-time zone location itself. We had a couple clients that we moved to places in Caribbean and Latin America, where the cost was 15–20% higher. They were still doing English, and the client already had work in places like Philippines and India, but they did want to move some of the processes near shore and near time zone as well. So that has been a significant trend that has continued over the last couple of years, and it is not just a blimp. I think it is going to continue happening. Also very, very key, especially when you have HR processes, when you have banking processes, or you have IT, is the sensitivity around the IP laws and risk factors involved. In terms of a service provider, I think one of the things that a service provider is looking for is, will I get enough returns from my investment into a new city or a new country? And that is essentially what they're saying is, can I scale, and can I sustain that operation in that location over a period of time? Because some of the locations we have found, the clients have found, the service providers have found, is you go in very attractive for a couple of years, and after that you see the labor force shrinking, salaries escalating, quality dropping, and that really is a very, very bad situation. So if that happens, it's better never ever to be able to go to that location itself. And hopefully some of that stuff has been captured in the point of scale resistance index that we have introduced this year for all the cities on the list. In terms of the government and policymakers, I think it's simple. They want to attract foreign investment, increase the export revenues, and generate employment. So I think it's a very, very significant focus for the emerging economies to be able to generate high-paid, high-value employment in that country. Going over to page 5, I think what we have seen is some of the cities have become very, very significant. They have become almost as if they are a country on their own itself. And when you have Dalian, for example, and Bangalore, there is a focus of IT outsourcing from those locations. From Dalian, it would be Japan, South Korea, and from Bangalore, again, I guess it's more global, but Australia, Japan, US, UK, for example. And then you have Medellin in Colombia, Montevideo in Uruguay, for example, which are great centers for engineering services outsourcing. Singapore, I know it's expensive, but Singapore has great ability, and they are doing a significant amount of outsourcing in terms of biotech. Santiago, Chile, again, a great location for KPO. And Cebu in Philippines, which up until last year was the #1 emerging destination. And Colombo in Sri Lanka, great locations for KPO. Colombo, very, very good in terms of the accounting and financial analytics processes, basically. So what we are seeing is that it is not just about talking about a destination being good in cost, being able to provide resources, but our clients have become extremely focused as to which locations are good in what capability, which BPO, which KPO, which IT. Going over to slide number 6 and 7, if you look at the themes that we have, and Ed did touch upon some of that stuff in his introductory remarks. In 2007, when the outsourcing had peaked, there was a significant number of locations where outsourcing the industry was booming. There was a significant rise in outsourcing contracts, and there were companies that were growing by consolidation, by acquiring companies that added certain value to what they were outsourcing. And even there were small and medium enterprises and small and medium providers in terms of the outsourcing industry. However, that kind of came to a stop, as we know, for the last couple of years, not for the last 6 months, but the couple of years before the last 6 months. We have seen a significant impact on outsourcing. And in 2008, our focus was how do locations really make an impact in the downturn and when the global economy was in crisis. So this was trying to look at things that were still in demand even in the downturn. In spite of the meltdown of the financial industry, it was the financial industry itself that really was again the one to come out of the slowdown, at least for the IT outsourcing. In terms of 2009, there were things that evolved because of some of the stimulus packages. For example, in the U.S., there's a significant amount of stimulus package for the healthcare industry, and there has been a significant increase in investments by clients in healthcare. So, for example, electronic health records and trying to bring in more technology into the healthcare has been a significant focus. Now, the physicians themselves have a budget that they can use, and I think there are service providers who are trying to see as to how they can tap into that. And moving